Riley's being very childish in the show right now.
I like his laughter.
I hate everything about them.
You know
Okay,
what
bro,
that
laugh.
is?
Bam. You okay? Bam.
You know what that is? That's an L-I. Because you know the E.
Alright. Alright, so you see at the top it says job description for a prophet. As in, these are God's instructions for a prophet, and the lens in which we will look at many different prophets. Just like our job description for a king will give us a lens to be like, how do they measure up? Okay, these will give us sort of like a guide on how we look at prophets in the Old Testament. Before we go there, though, I have a question for you. Which do you prefer? Hunter? You're groaning so loudly. Which do you prefer? Okay, to have a close friend that tells you what you want to hear, or to have a close friend that tells you what you need to hear? Want to hear or need to hear? Which one do you like?
Probably neither.
They just don't talk. Some people have less words, okay? They just like to use less words. When I'm done teaching, I'm like,
Okay.
let's see, Anna Jackson, what do you think? A friend
I'd
that...
rather have one that tells me what I need to hear. Than
Okay.
just like tell me what I want to hear. Like, I'd rather them be truthful than lie, and then me find out later that they're lying.
Okay. But don't you want to feel good inside?
Not really.
Isn't that what you like to hear? You know what I'm saying? Like, aw, just tell me what it makes me feel good.
Yeah, but that's just like in the moment. What about like later on down the road?
Okay. You don't live for the moment? You only live once, don't you live for the moment? Clayton, you want a friend that tells you what you need to hear? What you want?
A friend that tells me what I need to hear.
Why?
Well, I don't know, I guess they're better friends.
Why are they better friends?
Because they're not leading you on like little lies and stuff. I guess
Little
they're
lies.
the white liars.
They care
You
for
don't
more.
want to eat
Yeah, they
little
care
lies?
for you.
They care for you more?
Like, they want what's better for you than like a friend that'll tell you
Okay.
what you
They
need.
want
Grow
what's
me go.
better for you. What do you think?
I would want both.
Okay.
All my
Why would you
friends
want-
tell me what I need to hear and what I want to hear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Explain a little bit more.
Okay, so like if I'm being a little skag, they're gonna tell me I'm being a skag, but then they're gonna be like, oh, but you look good, and I'm like, oh god, no.
Oh, dang.
Okay. Now, do sometimes what you need to hear is it encouragement?
Nope. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, let me clarify when I say a friend that tells you what you need to hear. I'm not talking about a hard-tailed friend that just tears you down all the time, because it's true.
James, I don't tear you down.
You know what I mean? The, what you need in the moment may be an encouraging compliment. Or you may be just in need of a punch to the face with your words. I don't know. Sometimes maybe guys do that as good friends. I'm not sure. I don't know. Anybody else? Which would you prefer?
Catherine?
Huh?
What would you prefer? A friend that tells you what you need to hear or what you want to hear? Need. What if the person that tells you what you need to hear, you don't like it?
Suck it up, buttercup.
You should still respect it.
You should still respect it? What happens if you don't like what they say? What happens in your relationship with that person?
You might get mad at them.
Okay, you might get mad at them and not talk to them.
Every day.
Think
Every
about
day.
it more, you know.
I hate-
It'll probably be something that you think about a lot.
Okay,
And
even if
so-
you're not talking to them.
Yeah. And you can like put it in your life and see how it fits.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I mean, if even if you are mad at them at the time, like, if you like see that they're telling the truth,
Mhm.
then
Yeah. What do you think, Bradley?
I mean, yeah, I'd go with the need to hear. I guess kind of touching on what I was saying earlier. I mean, somebody who's going to tell you what you want to hear. I mean, I don't know. Kind of like saying that, like the person who tells you what you need to hear is kind of more caring for. Like, even though it might hurt your feelings, they really care about your well-being. Like, you know, they're going to tell you that.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so when somebody just tells you what you want to hear, who do they care about the most?
You. Them.
Weird. Why do they just care about them the most?
they don't want to cause problems for themselves.
They want to have a relationship.
Drama free.
Yeah, they'd rather have you like stick around than you have a better life and be mad.
So
You know what I mean? Like,
they
it's
tell
interesting.
you what you need to hear. You can grow as a person.
Yes, they literally love you more than themselves if they will tell you something that they know they don't make you mad. But they probably are like nauseous to their stomach thinking about telling you. Okay, because they care about you so much. You know what I mean? It's interesting. It is so much easier to be the friend that just tells what you want to hear, right? I mean, it's so much easier. All of us can be that friend, okay? When we're talking about our content today, it overlaps very strongly with the idea of words between friends, okay? Like, is it what you need or what you want? This concept of profit is kind of weird because it sort of conjures up different instant images in your mind. Have you ever seen a self-proclaimed prophet on television? Or YouTube or something? No, very good. I was going to say, why'd you follow it?
Destiny missed that video.
Jason and Jensen's like, didn't even respond.
She missed that video.
We watched this amazing video where this man threw the Holy Spirit. And people were like, oh! Like it, and
I
he
think
just,
we should watch it.
Yeah.
I think we should watch the snake one again.
No,
very fascinating.
Revelation 19.
Yeah. Alright. What image comes to mind, and if you don't think of a TV guy or a personality on YouTube or something, when you think prophet today, what image comes to your mind? Like, what does the guy look like? You ever met a prophet? When you were in New York City, did you see prophets?
Not.
What comes to mind when you think of prophet? What is a prophet?
People involved with
An old. Okay, what about today though? What if somebody's saying they're prophet? What do they look like to you? Huh? Loud. Where are they?
Out in the streets and
When you
stuff.
say prophet, I was thinking like a pastor or something.
Okay, Jason thinks pastor and prophet. That maybe is you just put them together. Okay. When I was in South Carolina over New Year's, we were walking around downtown with our friends, and there were people on the street corner being prophets, talking about the end of the world.
They like yelling and stuff with signs.
Well, actually, they weren't yelling; they were loudly discussing.
Oh yeah, we did run into one dude that was like
I was
that.
gonna say it's
Yeah.
normally in bigger cities. It's not gonna be like
First kid.
I was gonna say yeah. That would be a good place for a prophet to go, or this type of prophet. So what were they like in New York? Can you think of?
He's just kind of going like, just saying how everybody was sinners and that they
Okay,
needed to repent fast.
okay, repent. Like end of the world's coming soon. Okay, there are like normally we're thinking of somebody with a beard and a sign.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
we want to reshape that idea for the Old Testament prophets because it is a little bit different than somebody just having a detailed plan of how the world is going to end, okay? Which there have been numerous people that have done that. People brought up in the last class, they brought up like different end of the world things. Thank you. They brought up like 2012, the whole movie, if you've seen it, you know, how it's like the world's gonna end, you know, and like even different religions, that would be like an Aztec-y kind of religion. They have their own prophet's version, okay? So even like Islam, they, like their main person they call the prophet, okay? So the concept of prophet is not new. In fact, if you Google Joy Martin and prophet on YouTube, which really annoys me. There's a self-proclaimed woman out there. She calls herself a prophetess.
That's your name?
Yes. Yes. And I'm like, I was going to store some things on YouTube for our class, but I'll have to think of a different name for myself, apparently. Bridge Camp Academy Prophet something. Prophet class. I don't know. Anyways, it was like, oh. Okay. Now, where this all originated, and from here on out, I would just have your ears open for quiz material, okay? I drew where the story of where this, in the Bible, where this job actually originated, okay? Because it wasn't always around, okay? If you can tell, I got a mountain there. This is Mount Sinai, and it is on fire with storms around it. Normally when I have my overhead, you can tell it's fire, okay? It's got some more red going on. You can feel red colors. Clarify if you want. Okay, but if you remember back in our story, when was, our big story of the Bible, when was fire on Mount Sinai? Do you remember?
When the people were in the wilderness.
Yes.
The burning bush.
Also that, yes. That was, well, it was fire on Mount Sinai. It just was to the side. Same place,
Oh, when
but 40 years later.
was it,
Wait, no, not 40 years later. Several years later.
wasn't it with Moses getting somewhere around the commands and
Yes, Moses was there, and the commandments were involved. How did they get the 10 Commandments?
They walked.
They walked. They were all at the mountain.
I gave
But-
it to him.
Moses?
Okay,
They
God
were
gave
too
it to them
scared
in
to
rocks, or Moses handed them to the people from God. Is that how they got it?
Right.
Moses went up there, like, the people were too terrified to go up there.
What were they afraid of? The fire. Let's open up to it. Take your Bible out. Let's. Anybody know where the 10 Commandments are? Yes! Does it say on there? It doesn't. Exodus 20. Okay? Which is sort of an easy number to remember if you just go ahead and tuck it in your brain. Exodus 20. 10 Commandments, you see, like, oh, there they are, you know. But when it starts, 20 verse 1, how are they getting the 10 Commandments? God straight up spoke it. Okay, and if you jump back into chapter 19 for some context, the people are standing in front of the mountain with the fire. Remember when we did the big story, I was talking about how the mountain was shaking, and there was this scary, like Lord of the Rings kind of horns going on, like, you know, and there's thunder and lightning, and they are like, and then God tells the 10 Commandments that we just rattled off with our memory verses. And at the end, check it out. Who wants to read? I selected you. Come on, did you next time? Exodus 20, starting in verse 18. Let's see how they respond to hearing God's voice for themselves.
Now when all the people saw the
I'm hearing the flashes of lightning and the sound of the trumpets and the mountain smoking. The people were afraid and trembled, and they stood far off and said to Moses, "You speak to us, and we will listen, but do not let God speak to us, lest we die." Moses said to the people, "Do not fear, for God has come to test you, that the fear of him may be before you, that you may not sin." The people stood far off, while Moses drew near to the thick darkness where God was.
Good. The people themselves request the whole concept of prophet. Okay? Tell me the basic concept they just asked for. What did they ask for?
Tell us what God says.
Yes. You go over there. We listen to God. Then we bring it to us in a less scary fashion. You will listen. Yes. Okay. You see this purpose right here? This would be a great quiz question. Okay? A go-between where it's a messenger to point the people or to encourage the people or to rebuke the people, whatever is going on at the time, God speaks through the person to the people. Okay? They ask for themselves. If you think through, if you back up into Genesis, God had spoke for himself to Adam. Okay? God spoke for himself to Abraham. God spoke for himself to Moses. Okay? But now we see this kind of shift where there are these go-betweens called prophets. Okay? Now, here's our first little basic shell of what it looks like to be a prophet in the Old Testament for the most part. Okay? When somebody gets a message, see they have their word bubble here. They either are speaking it, or what are they doing here? What do they got in their hand? What do you think?
Writing it
Or
down.
writing it. Very good. The prophets that we're going to get to know real well are the ones that either they wrote it down or somebody that's listening to them is writing it down. Okay? There are speaking prophets and writing prophets. Elijah and Elisha would be examples especially of speaking prophets. They have all these awesome stories where they like get all up in kings' faces, or Elijah goes up in a fiery chariot. They have all these like story action stuff where they say stuff in time. Okay? But then there are prophets that are more like it's their extended sermons, like written out to what they had said to people in person. Okay? So they're either speaking or writing God's word to people in some kind of need. Okay? Every place that a prophet goes, there's some specific thing going on as the context. Okay? When we get to these different prophets, some are not going to relate to James because it is not anything to do with how James is doing. Okay? But maybe the next day it's going to be exactly what is going on in James' life. And if it is, then God's word is still the same because God doesn't change. Okay? So sometimes a prophet will come up and he'll just like blast people that are greedy. Okay? He'll just blast them. Okay? If greed isn't your big sin, then you don't have to like try and force yourself and be like, oh well, it just wait, and you gotta try and hear what each context is speaking to you. Okay, so God directly tells the prophet, and then the prophet tells or writes the message. Now, their message can be two different types. Also, a great quiz question. Okay, two types of messages do they give? Okay, one is very similar to a weatherman. What does a weatherman give every day? What is it called? Forecast. Do we know that they are prophets, huh? Are they prophets? Are they prophets?
No.
Do they fit the mold? Does God tell the weatherman what's up directly? Maybe Christian. Typically, they're looking at their radars, okay, and they're guessing. So they would not be Old Testament prophet-like, but they would do a forecast, which is very similar to a foretelling, okay? Where prophets that we're going to study are going to tell specific things about the future, okay, that are going to take place, okay? It's pretty cool, or that are still yet to take place. Some are still open, okay? Now, these are the things that make me nervous when I hear somebody say them, okay? When somebody says, in the future, this is going to happen, I immediately get like a little pit in my stomach. You know, like, okay, well, what would you do if somebody all of a sudden plays the God card and is like for example, when my mom was in college, this dude came up to her, Clayton, this dude came up to her and was like, God told me you're supposed to be married.
What'd she say?
No.
That's not my dad, by the way.
No.
She said, well, God hasn't told me. Whenever it's like somebody plays the God card, what makes you nervous about it? Okay, is it real or not? What makes you nervous? Like, all of a sudden, doesn't it get uncomfortable if somebody does that? Why does it make you nervous if somebody plays the God card talking about the future? What does it all of a sudden do to the conversation if somebody pops down the God card? Like, God told me this. I mean, should my mom have married that man? Doesn't that obligate her to do it? God told him. God told Jason.
I mean, you just don't really know if they're making it up or not. I mean,
But he said God told him. Shouldn't she have done it?
No. He probably has schizophrenia.
What can happen when somebody puts the God card down in a conversation? God told me that. What
What
it-
you're like obligated to like not deny what they said in the first call. It's like they're talking about God, so you're like, no.
Yes.
You know?
How dare you question what God said? You know what I'm saying? It becomes almost like something you can't do anything against. Okay? Interesting. When somebody predicts the future, especially in lots of these cult circles. For example, there was, I can't even remember his name. It's famous though. I can't remember. Several years back, maybe we talked about this. He called himself a prophet. Okay? And he had a bunch of followers. They all lived in the house. He told them all that God had told him. / aliens or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, he was not just straight up, I don't know what religion he would 100% call himself. Anyways, he said, oh, God has told me, or whatever they're following. I don't know exactly how he would use the terminology, but he would say, God has told me that we need to all drink this Kool-Aid with poison in it in order to release ourselves from these bodies to go meet up with the aliens that are waiting for us on the other side of the moon. So creepy. If you YouTube it, like people drinking Kool-Aid together as a
Oh,
cult
that's
or
why
whatever.
sometimes people say don't drink the Kool-Aid or something.
Yes. It's very famous.
Somebody
Yes.
told me that like the other day.
Yes. Okay. The if you YouTube it, this one follower that wasn't there at the time, he walked into the house, and they had all like covered themselves with shrouds. It was so crazy. They're all wearing the same type of shoes. It's like it is so disturbing. I just want you to know, that our God in the Bible, He commands His people to test whether or not somebody is telling the truth if they say they're speaking from God. He's like, oh, don't you believe them? Don't you just believe them? No. You test to see if they are for real. And one of the tests that they do is if their foretelling comes true. If it doesn't happen, like the 2012 thing, 2018, okay. Mentally note to yourself that form of prophecy, that group of gods or whatever, they can't speak outside of time. They don't know what's going to happen in the future, but they said they did. They are lying to you. Okay? Now, he has more tests, and we'll get there in just a second. Okay? But another type of message that they have, that's actually the majority of, if you're an Old Testament prophet, the majority of what they spoke was not, hey, let me predict the future in great detail. The majority of message that we will see as we study is called a foretelling. Okay? Were some of you at Miss Ford's funeral on Saturday? Okay. It is so powerful because Coach Wright was speaking, and he kept turning from the front to talk to the family, okay? And he kept speaking some powerful words for them for today. Encouraging them, putting, I love the word encourage, it's like putting courage inside something. Like he was doing, wasn't he doing that? When he said that, he told me, he's like, man, if the Son of God cried at Lazarus' tomb, let yourself cry. It is okay. It was so powerful. It was words for them today. He wasn't predicting anything. That's very similar to this concept of foretelling that we're going to see. It's like the specific need going on. The prophet comes in from the Lord, speak to the ones that are discouraged, or blast the ones that are hard-hearted and haughty and he comes for the specific need for that day. Okay? So that's the basic shell of a prophet. But then here we see this major test of how you can see if somebody is false or true. Okay? And you should listen to them. Or false, and you should be like, get behind me. I don't need you. Like my mother did. Okay? We're like, and you're weird. Okay? So, here is our cartoon for false. If you look and see, where does the false prophet get his message from? People, huh? Okay, not what is his message, but where does he get it from? Yes. People are behind him, giving him what?
Money.
Money. Okay? They are paying him. Have you heard the phrase, whoever pays the fiddler gets the tune or something like that? Sort of like an bring it up in a literature class. And they'll be like, oh, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Anyway, if you were around a false prophet, they would change what they say based on what's convenient for them at the time. Okay? They are the friend that tells you what you want to hear. So who do they care the most about? Themselves. Not really them. They care about themselves. Okay? So they will tell lies that will probably sound like half-truths, okay, which are the most convincing type of lies. Okay? And they would typically downplay any sort of rule that God would have. They'd be like, oh, it's all right. God's fine with it. Ladies, have you ever seen A Walk to Remember?
Yes.
That's stupid.
I cry so much.
It has a half-truth in it that's very powerful. Tell us what happens at the end. Spoil it for all these men that will never watch this movie. Okay.
Thanks for the spoiler.
Okay. Now, ladies, I'm going to burst your bubble at this moment, okay? The Mandy Moore is in that movie, okay? And she's this daughter of, what's her daddy's profession? It's a preacher, right? She makes friends with this guy at her school, and he's not a Christian, okay? But then she gets sick, and this guy's real involved. And, the daddy as the preacher has this problem with this relationship because he's not a Christian, And then as she's about to die, they decide to get married. Okay, and her dad's still kind of like, ah. And she's like, she has this line where she says to her dad, she's like, hey, you know what I think God would say? I think he would say, I think God would say that he wants me to be happy. So they get married, and then she dies. Okay, and I'm like whenever that line, like they build up the music, they make it like, oh yeah, of course she should. Of course God wants to make her happy. It sounds like it's true. That's what a half truth is. It makes you feel like it's true, but you know it's wrong. Does God want to make you happy? Does God want to make you happy?
Yeah, that's why he tells you how to do it.
Does God want to make you happy?
Yeah.
I hope you know. Because you're probably making a lot of decisions of it. Does God want to make you happy over there, dudes?
Yes.
What do you think, Hunter? Does God want to make you happy?
He doesn't want us to be happy in sin.
God does want to make you happy. He does not want you to be destroyed, hurt, poisoned by sin. Okay? And that's really what's like, oh, it's the half truth. Where this guy is, they always play it up where it's just different. Like, oh, yeah, it's fine. But, yeah, no, not in reality. Okay? For that girl in that relationship, she's like bucking off the rebellion or the authority of her, father, and everybody feels bad for her because she's sick. Okay, it's like, oh man, in reality, God wants to give you the best possible relationship, like something that will drive you to the Lord, just like you should do for them, and that will be so awesome. Remember we talked about in our King job description that, in those negative relationships, it will lead you away. Okay? And God's like, this will make you so much happier. Anyway. Half truth. That's what false prophet does. Sounds good. But it's going to be destructive for you. Okay? How does his audience, how do they like what he says? Can you tell? What's our response here?
I'm confused.
Okay, they like it. What else?
What he says is true.
There's going to be some inconsistency. Like, he predicted this. And they have to try and, they just, different religions will be like one religion said that Jesus was going to come back, okay, at a certain date. And they were all on top of a tower waiting for him in New York City when he was going to come back. Did it happen? But then they say, oh, yes, it did. It happened in a spiritual way. We just couldn't see him. And so that's how they try and rebound. Like, it should kind of happen, and they'll try and make it seem like it did, okay? So, anyway, they'll also recognize, man, this isn't aligned with the Bible that we have to this point, okay? Like, this goes against other parts. Let's look at the true prophet real quick. This is like the equivalent of the true friend. See in his word bubble? He says the truth that might build you up and put courage inside you, or it might tear you down if you're being haughty or running after sin. It depends. So how do you think his audience likes it? Yeah, a lot of people don't. And we're going to see with prophets, a lot of them get beat into the ground.
It's like a chicken.
That's a club.
God, cooler tomorrow. Okay? That's all I'm hearing until I see it. Okay, but you see this one in the middle is receiving the message, right? They're like struck with it, okay? So they're gonna default to, you have to obey the Lord, okay? Not like, Okay, they're gonna shoot straight with the people. Where does he get his message from?
God.
God gives him the message. Often the people did not want to go. Can you think of, a lot of times. Can you think of a prophet that did not want to go?
Jonah.
Jonah, remember? Jonah. And when he's like, no thank you, and decides not to do the job, what does God do? Yeah, he's like, yes, you will go. Okay, so it's interesting. If you are chosen by God, it's not like, oh, this is going to look real good on my resume. I think I'll definitely go in this direction. I think the Lord's leading me here. It's like, often they're like, do I have to? Okay, because they realize how hard it's going to be, and it is very difficult. Okay, now, they are often flabbergasted that they were chosen. Okay, they're like Jeremiah's really young, and he's like, you know that I am a youth. Okay, and God's like, I need you before you were born. Let's go do it, boy. Okay, and it's awesome. My son's middle name is Jeremiah. I love the book of Jeremiah. What he says always aligns with what is previously said in the Bible, but check it out. A lot of them have miraculous things that occur to confirm that the Lord is with them. Okay, if you think of Elijah or Elisha, okay, it'll be like, remember? Do you remember the one on Mount Carmel? Remember where he's like, God or Baal? Let's see who's the real one. Okay, he's all alone. He's the only prophet of the Lord that's there. But what is the miraculous sign that occurs to be like, God is with you? Do you remember? What's the miraculous sign that occurs that day? Remember?
It burned all of the water.
Yes, it consumed. Okay, so things like that where it'll be like, whoa, power, like tangible power would be there, where the Lord would help the people to believe that this really is from Him. Okay, see his heart is on fire. Okay, Jeremiah at one point, his life is really hard when he follows God. Okay, and at one point he's like, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Okay, which that never goes well for any prophet when they decide to do that. But even prophets had days that they felt like quitting. Okay, and God said, or Jeremiah talks about in his book that he shut his mouth and he's like, I'm not telling them anymore. Okay, and inside of him, it said his bones burned with fire. Like his book, but it's like God's message was. He was compelled to speak God's message. It wasn't for money. It wasn't because he got something out of it. Although it is very rewarding to be used by the Lord. It was because God picked him and sent him. Okay? Okay, so tomorrow you're going to contrast, if you pick prophet, you're going to contrast true versus false. Okay? It should not look just like this. You should do it in a creative way. Okay, same thing with king. If you pick king, it should be done in a creative way. Hey, remind me, we did not finish totally our king lesson. Remind me on Wednesday. So we can finish.
I don't know what I made on the 10th.
Sorry.